We all need boundaries, but how do we make them and safely enforce them? At the end, I'll share some tips about how to do this in daily life and maintain it. This is Hawk from Help Hawk Healing, where we're freeing human hearts. In the description below, you'll find a link to the rules of the mind. This will help to augment and reinforce what we're learning here. Also, there's a link down there to 101 questions that will help you understand more of where you are in your life. What is a boundary? The Webster's definition is that it's a line that marks the dividing line of an area or areas. However, when you look at the ground, you don't see a line painted there usually, unless there's a fence. Maybe there's a boundary line there that's been put there across a road or something, but normally boundaries are something that aren't seen. To me, boundaries are more of what I will tolerate from others or myself, especially myself. Because I have boundaries within myself. No, I will not allow myself to do that. Where I used to have walls, walls keep people out, but they also keep you imprisoned. So while you're safe, well, hey, you're safe in prison. A boundary, on the other hand, is a division that keeps you there and me here, but I can allow you to come here or you can allow me to come there, as long as we're both communicating and acting properly towards each other. Our boundaries are designed to keep us safe, but we have to learn how to allow them to expand, to let others in. If we always say no, 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 that's a wall. If we always keep a wall around our heart and never allow our authentic vulnerability to show, how are we supposed to expect people to help us or to love us if we're not giving them the same thing? Boundaries allow new ideas and perspectives to enter our lives, and these ideas can come from anywhere at any time. But if you instantly say, "No, I'm not listening to that. That's not according to my religion," that's kind of holding yourself back. Because the one tenet that I look for is love others as you love yourself, and love yourself as if you are a part of God, because you are a part of God. You're God's thought. If you don't believe that, that's fine. But that's what I look for. And I will allow myself to listen to someone else's perspective, even though I may end up not agreeing with it. I learned a valuable lesson about this: to prejudge before experience is to deliberately predetermine, hold oneself in ignorance. And you can get a lot of perspective of how other people are. You may not agree with them, you may not like them, you may not even like their perspective, but you can at least see how they're coming from, where they're coming from, what they're coming from, and why they're coming from there. And this is all by allowing boundaries and allowing their ideas to cross the boundary and at least allow you to see what they have to say or where they're coming from. Thank you for pressing the like button. I really do appreciate that, and so does the algorithm. One thing about our boundaries is that they can remain fluid. They can ebb and flow like the tide. It's an incredible thing to think that they're fluid, which allows us to transform. Now, in some places, we might want to pull a boundary closer to us, while in other places, we might want to push one further out. And I get that. I used to have walls. Get past my walls, and maybe I'd be nice to you. Nowadays, I have this boundary, and I have this boundary. And in some areas, I don't have boundaries at all, because I don't need them. I don't need a boundary that tells me who I can and can't love. I love everybody. I don't necessarily like everybody, but love has nothing to do with like. Love has to do with acceptance. So, our boundaries being fluid can help us learn from others' perspectives, and it will help us keep perspectives we don't want away and allow other perspectives to be right here. And that's an important thing, to learn how to adjust according to the situation. And I'm not talking about situational ethics. I'm talking about take each moment as it comes and look at it. And if you're acting within the 5 agreements of the Don Jose and Don Miguel Ruiz, which is actually the golden rule, then you can allow your love to inform you in the moment of what you need to do in that moment. Do I need to enforce this boundary? Or do I need to say, hey, come on over here, I'll give you a hug? One thing about boundaries is, if we allow someone past our boundaries and they break our trust, we can just say, no, no more. We could remove them. Say, you're not allowed here anymore. And that goes for ideas, that goes for television shows and media, that goes for whatever. That goes for books, it goes for food, it goes for whatever you want it to go for. We can say, yes, you're allowed here. But once the trust is broken, you can say, no, you're not allowed here, or I will trust you only this far. Where I used to trust you this far, now I will only trust you this far. And with most people, trusting them this far is the best way until you get to know them. But there's nothing wrong with, hey, thank you for opening the door. Or, hey, thank you for being human on this planet and having this experience with me. There's also nothing wrong with allowing someone to express the perspective of you, whether you believe it's true or not. With our boundaries being fluid and allowing for our transformation, our boundaries now can inform our goals so that we can express them. And the more we expand them, the greater our goals are and the more we can achieve. Because we're allowing in more perspective, we're allowing in more information, we're allowing in more people who can help us. And maybe the help you're getting is from someone who died 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago. And you may not agree with every word they say, and that's okay. But it's still helping you. And maybe the person who's standing beside you in line can be a person who helps you. It just depends on how you want to enforce your boundary. And remember, there's a difference between a boundary and a wall. A wall keeps everything out. You have to go over a wall, whereas a boundary is just a step. It's a It's an interesting and intricate way our human minds work, especially when it comes to boundaries. Thank you for subscribing so that we can continue to learn together. I really appreciate it and I really enjoy it. When we begin seeing our boundaries as something that can be surpassed, we truly start healing and freeing our hearts. And this helps to heal others too. It helps to free their hearts. And it helps with true healing, true deep healing. Because by allowing in those who can help us and allowing in ideas that can help us, that expands our boundaries and that helps us when we go to help others. That gives us the fuel. That allows us to take others into our boundaries and say, hey, here's the way I healed. And maybe you won't heal this way, but this can inform you of a way that there is for healing. While we must enforce our boundaries, we can do so with compassion. We can say, hey, I'm not cool with that. And if it's still pushed, it's like I told you, I'm not cool with that. And if it's still pushed, say, you know what? I'm so not cool with that, you're no longer allowed. But give the benefit of the doubt. If it's someone that consistently comes and presses that same button, one, you can unwire the button. Two, you can make them stop. Three, you can go a different way and have your boundaries expressed in a different way and be somewhere else totally so that they're no longer there. And if you unwire the button, then nobody can press it. If you change the program, maybe you have the button set for something else so that when somebody presses it, press that button, oh, that's the hug button. The best way I can express boundaries is through the 5 agreements. So I've been over this before and I'm going over it again. Be impeccable with your word to and about yourself and all others at all times. That creates a boundary within yourself and with others that I'm always going to do my best to tell the truth. Never take anything personally. You don't know what the other person has gone through, even if you grew up with them, to make them be the way they are. So never take it personally. They don't even know they're doing it probably. Never make assumptions. Just because a person has said 5 words doesn't mean you know the rest of the sentence they're going to say. Or you don't even know the point they're going to make if they've only been allowed to make a thesis statement. Always do your best, realizing that your best of today may not be your best of yesterday or your best of tomorrow, but it's the best you can do in the moment. And always remain skeptical because you do not know the things you do not know. You do not even know they're out there to be known. If you live with these 5 agreements, simple agreements, or reduce them to 1, treat others as you want to be treated, or love others as you want to be loved, then you can enforce your boundaries all day long with compassion, with yourself and with others. It's just quite simple, and it makes life so much easier because you no longer have to maintain a mask. You can be whoever you want to be, whenever you want to be, and without harming yourself or others. So I thank you for healing. I thank you for freeing your heart. And remember, repeat, I'm enough. I love myself. I am free. And I love you too.